Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. I think everyone's fellowshipping in the foyer this morning. We'll start. You missed my introduction, that's fine. Just welcome to Power 30. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. I woke up this morning to a wonderful little scavenger hunt surprise for my 18-year-old, so found a couple things. So it's a good start to Mother's Day. So if you know us, my husband works for a wholesale florist, so the last few weeks have been pretty crazy for us. He's not here today. It's his last big day with this holiday. But he's been putting in 16-hour days, so he came home the other night and he just was like, I just want a down night. I want to sit on the couch and watch a movie. So he put on Mufasa, which I thought was kind of funny. But we were really into lion documentaries during COVID. So it's kind of like, oh, this just kind of goes along with that a little bit. So we're sitting on the couch, and there was a line that the alpha lion said that it's basically the lion's job to sit around and take naps. And it's the lioness's job to do everything else. And at that moment, I'm sitting on the couch with my laptop because I'm watching a movie and relaxing, but I have a million things going on between work and ministries and graduation parties and planning a vacation, and there's no time to sit and relax. And I look over at him, and he is literally in and out of naps the whole time we're sitting on the couch. And I just said, oh, life really does mirror this movie. And I said, that's what my Power 30 is going to be about. And he's just like, ha, 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 whatever. So today I want to talk about the lioness, the backbone of the pride. So lionesses are the hunters. They're typically smaller, so that gives them more agility, and they're more effective at pursuing prey. And they don't just work by themselves. Effective hunting comes as a group. So then they're able to take down larger animals that they couldn't take down on their own. And they have a strategy. They don't just wing it and see what happens. They have a plan. There's a female lion in the center, and then the wings come along and circle the prey into the center where they can attack. But only 1 in 5 hunts has a success rate. So Galatians 6:9 in the KJV says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. I would think it's pretty discouraging to eat only 20% of the time. But they don't give up. They just keep on trying. And in life, you will have failures, but God gives us strength and resilience. And eventually, you will reap the good things you've sown. Some of the projects you work on crash and burn. I mean, we've tried new things here. And I mean, if you worked on a project with me, we're halfway through the event, and I'll start debriefing. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Because I want to have a plan for the next time. Not all of our events are successes. Some of them have become fixtures. It gives us the opportunity to grow and learn from mistakes. And it's just like the setbacks the lionesses have when they're hunting. They don't make the same mistake again. If they knew this technique didn't work, we're not going to do it. But they also might have new hunters in the group. So they got to teach those new hunters how to not do, the bad things. And eventually, they take down a zebra. And that applies to us too. Jesus sees the hard work you're doing, and eventually you will reap the fruit of your labors. And we achieve this as a team. And I know we have a great team here, and we have great unity, and we're working together. And we're bringing new people into that, and we're teaching them, they're learning how to do things. Lionesses are a social group. They live in a close-knit group as a pride, and they work together raising their cubs. Multiple lionesses typically have their cubs around the same time, so they grow up with cousins, and they share the responsibility for feeding the children, grooming, and guarding the cubs. They show a collaborative spirit, and they work as a team. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12, the NLT says, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If the one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. We are stronger together, and we need each other. You know, we all say this phrase, it takes a village, and I looked it up, and it was in 1996 was when Hillary Clinton made this phrase popular. It had been around for a long time before that. But I really think that we don't necessarily have that sense of community anymore. And in the United States, COVID completely killed that. But that's not necessarily true in the church. And I am thankful for all the church moms out there. You know, I told, this was a couple months ago, something happened in my daughter's life. And I'm like, oh, you should text Beth about that, her youth group leader. And she goes, oh, I already did. And I was like, oh, that's great. And if you know about Brianna and Emily and the sourdough, like, I cannot with the sourdough. And, but they text about it all the time, and I think that's awesome. And you know, like Wendy Tan, she just gives hugs and positivity to my daughter, you know. And these people are filling in those gaps where her real mom just doesn't get it, you know, but that makes me happy. 1 Kings 3:23 through 27, the ESV says, then the king said, the one says, this is my son that is alive, and your son is dead. And the other says, no, but your son is dead, and my son is a living one. And the king said, bring me a sword. So a sword was brought before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other. Then the woman whose son was alive said to the king, because her heart yearned for her son, O my lord, give her the living child, and by no means put him to death. But the other said, he shall be neither mine nor yours, divide him. Then the king answered and said, give the living child to the first woman, and by no means put him to death. She is the mother. This is King Solomon using his wisdom. People who aren't even in the church or have opened a Bible know this story about splitting the baby in half. Because everybody knows a real mom would rather let their child live, not with them, than die and share him. And he used wisdom by playing off maternal feelings, because I know I would do anything for my child. Psalm 139:13 through 14, the NLT says, you made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. And when I think about that, like this child, when I look at this 18-year-old kid, like she was in my womb at one point. It's actually crazy. Like I remember being pregnant, and it wasn't my favorite. I mean, I'll be honest, like, and it was gross. Like you'd sit there in your stomach, looked like you had like this alien in you. But I have a bond with her that I don't have with anyone else. Like she is half of me. I mean, I've been married to her dad for almost 23 years, and he has no idea who I am, but she just looks at me and knows exactly what I'm thinking. The lioness has intense maternal instincts and the need to protect. And that social aspect of it, it gives you a feeling for wanting to protect more than just your own. These lions don't just protect their own offspring that they've carried, they protect the whole pride. You know, I don't yell at kids in front of their parents. When I'm alone with them in the classroom, if they're acting out, I will tell them to stop. But I'm sure many of you have picked up your kids, and the minute I see you, it is not my problem anymore. It is your problem. But the lionesses aren't like that. Their real mom could be sitting right there and see you doing something crazy, and they will pick up that cub and say, knock it off. And the real mom is like, whatever, she took care of it. You know, we need to be a little bit more like that, I think. Like, we had our training here Friday night with emergency training, and it wasn't like heavy, but I do get worked up in these emergency trainings a little bit. I spoke a couple times, and I could feel like I'm a little worked up. And it's because I take the protection of our kids so seriously. I've worked in schools where you do lockdown drills, and I know that if something really went down, I'm not coming home to my real family, because those kids are my kids, and I'm throwing myself over them to protect them, you know? And that's how I feel about your kids in Power Hour. Like, they're my kids. Like, we have a relationship I probably should be a little bit more authoritative with them. We kind of have a friendship relationship right now, but I think that's what this group of kids needs. And I just have a protection over them. Like, they're kind of like my deal, And I think that's what the church needs. We need to be protective of our kids and just be those moms for everybody. There's a social hierarchy amongst lionesses. They typically live in groups of 12 to 15 with all their cubs, and there's a couple male lions. The lionesses form a hierarchy, with the older, more experienced female taking on leadership roles. And there is an alpha female. She'll lead the hunt. She decides when the pride should move. All still contribute, but they're following her lead. And there's little conflict in this because everybody knows their place. And it enables for a smooth functioning of the pride. At about 2 years old, the lions, cubs, will start to hunt with their mothers. And this is to prepare them for independent life. It's teaching them how to be lions. And I feel like I get up here every time, or anytime I have any opportunity to speak and talk about this, so this is clearly my soapbox, but I'm not going to get off of it, because I'm going to read Titus 2, 1 through 5. In the MSG, your job is to speak on the things that make for solid doctrine. Guide older men into lives of temperance, dignity, and wisdom, into healthy faith, love, and endurance. Guide older women into lives of reverence so they end up as neither gossips nor drunks, but models of goodness. By looking at them, the younger women will know to love their husbands and children, be virtuous and pure, keep a good house, and be good wives. We don't want anyone looking down on God's message because of their behavior. And then Titus 1, 5 through 9 in the NLT. I left you on the island of Crete so you can complete our work there and appoint leaders in each town as I instructed you. An elder must live a blameless life. He must be faithful to his wife, and his children must be believers who don't have a reputation of being wild or rebellious. A church leader is a manager of God's household, so he must live a blameless life. He must not be arrogant or quick-tempered. He must not be a heavy drinker, violent, or dishonest with money. Rather, he must enjoy having guests in his home, and he must love what is good. He must live wisely and be just. He must be a devout and disciplined life. He must have a strong belief in the trustworthy message he was taught. And he must be able to encourage others with wholesome teaching and show those who oppose it where they are wrong. And I have to reiterate again that the elders of the church are so important. Because if we're not teaching that next generation, what's going to happen? If the next generation doesn't know what to do, it's going to end. Lion cubs don't know how to hunt unless someone taught them how to hunt. And I don't know how to live a Christian life unless someone teaches me. I can open my Bible, it's there. I can read the words. But when someone models a behavior for you, it's just so different. In school, many of us could read a textbook, but when someone does an object lesson and shows it to you, all of a sudden it hits a little bit different. And I just want to say, it's not about us. It's about the greater good of the pride. And I don't want to sound condemning on this because that's not what I want to say right now. I want to encourage on this part. But, Thursday night we had ladies' prayer points. And I'm going to tell you, I had a burden for that night like I've never experienced before in my life. I suffer with back problems, whatever. But I had pain in my back like I've never had in my 43 years in life on Tuesday and Wednesday. And as someone in chronic pain, I don't think you even know I'm in pain 95% of the time, but it was visible that day, and that's how bad it was. And I felt like I was laboring in my back is the only words I could use to describe. And I feel like I was birthing, for better words, a ministry that night. And I don't expect everybody to come to everything. I don't. I didn't go to ladies' downtown Oconomowoc night. I don't expect everybody to come to everything. But if you don't come, you can't minister to somebody. Because it's not about you anymore. It's about the person in that room. And I can feel myself getting rid of this right now. The previous prayer point was on Hannah. And Hannah was a very personal story to me. I could minister to anybody in the room on any topic in that Hannah booklet, but Tamar was our topic. I did not go through. I have not gone through anything that Tamar has gone through. I can make educated booklets and prayer points and pray through it, but I can't minister to someone who's gone through abuse. I can't. But somebody in this house could. And you might have missed out on the opportunity to greatly minister to someone because you weren't here. So again, I don't want this to be a condemning thing. I'm not the pastor, and that's not my place on the pulpit to do this. But I just want to encourage you to participate in these things, because it's not about you. It's about what you, as an elder or as a seasoned saint in this church, can bring to our community of ladies. There are hurt and broken women who were here that night who could have received a touch from you. And I need you. I need you. All of us women need you, because it's the pride. It's the whole group as a whole. It's not just about us anymore. Ephesians 4:16 NLT says, he makes the whole body fit together. As each part does its own special work, it helps the other parts grow, so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. So if you aren't there, the body misses you. It is incomplete. So now we can hear the pin drop here, but so now we'll lighten it up and say, the lionesses, I read this article that lionesses put up with the lions. Lionesses do most of the work, while lions just sit around and nap. And after the hunt is done, they get first dibs on the meal. And that might preach to some women in this house. I talked about me sitting on the couch with my laptop doing everything. And I realize not every household runs that way. And it's not a condemnation on my husband. That's how our lives have worked. He works 16 hours a day. He's not going to plan the family vacation. We don't want him planning the family vacation, But moms are often the default parent, the chefs, the housekeepers, the teachers, the event planners, the chauffeurs, the personal assistants, the spiritual advisors, the party planners, the life coaches, and so much more. And when I think about the lioness, I envision her doing the same thing. So why do we even keep the lions around? Because they offer protection. The lioness are submitted to the lion's authority in exchange for protection. He is their head and ultimately responsible for the whole pride. Hebrews 13:17, the NLT says, obey your spiritual leaders and do what they say. Their work is to watch over your souls, and they are accountable to God. Give them reason to do this with joy and not with sorrow. That would certainly not be for your benefit. In Ephesians 5:33 in the KJV, nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. Submission is a protection. I know, it's Mother's Day. Let's talk about submission. It's everyone's favorite topic. But I want to share that I have a strength and power that I have never known when I become truly submitted. And it's not about losing your self-submission. Because I'll tell you, my authorities let me do whatever I want. I'm not ruled with an iron hand. In my work, my pastor trusts me to do what I need to do. My husband trusts me to be doing what I need to do. But submission and the protection is having someone there to stop me right before I'm about ready to make that bad decision. And I know where that line is. I have crossed it. I've yelled no, and then had to come back and walk away and go, no, that is not my place. That's not my position right now. I need to back off. I am not the authority on this situation. I know where the line is. But the lion protects the pride, and our authorities protect us. And it's easy to submit when there's trust. And that's just what came to me at the pre-service prayer. I can submit because I trust my husband. I can submit because I trust my pastor. There's other leadership in here. I can submit because I trust them. And it's easy for them to give me that ability to just do whatever I want because they trust me that I'm not going to go off and do something crazy. So to conclude, just like the lioness is the backbone of the pride, ladies, we are the backbone of the church. And Pastor actually said that in Morning Huddle today, and I was like, oh no, don't take my message. But ladies, we truly are, I feel this can be the backbone of the church. I have a little something on my desk It says, Jesus protected women. They empowered women. He honored women publicly. He released the voice of women. He confided in women. He was funded by women. He celebrated women by name. He learned from women. He respected women and spoke of women as examples to follow. And the women of this church are vital and necessary. This is not anything to take away from the guys. Like, you have that same power in you. You can be the backbone of the church too, you know. But that same Holy Ghost that's in every single person in here is in us, ladies, and we can use it. And I know that there are strong lionesses in this congregation that are just ready to be part of this pride. And when you guys embrace that and realize the strength that is in you, I can only imagine the way the roof is going to blow off this place, how we're going to be so effective for the community. And I just encourage you all to just release that lioness in you. Happy Mother's Day.